What's up everybody, Steve here. In this video, I'm gonna go over everything that you're gonna need to know about buying a HUD home. Also, toward the end of this video, I'm gonna talk about actually how you can buy a HUD home with only $100 down. And as always, be sure that you guys seek out the appropriate professionals in your area like a good real estate agent and a real estate attorney. So let's go ahead and dive in. So what exactly is a HUD home? HUD stands for the Department of Urban and Housing Development, and essentially HUD takes possession of homes that were in default of FHA mortgages. How can you place a bid on a HUD home? For one thing, you are required to utilize a real estate broker, real estate agent to submit a bid on a HUD home because they actually have to apply through the HUD site as a representing broker or representing agent and get an NAID number in order to submit bids on the behalf of the public. So you guys are going to have to reach out to a real estate agent to represent you in this transaction, which I highly recommend anyway because it's just extra eyes and ears to assist you in the buying process. And also toward the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to go about searching for HUD homes. Now when HUD goes and places the property on the open market, usually there's a duration of a period of time. Sometimes it's 7 days, sometimes it's 14 days, where only primary resident buyers can go ahead and bid on the property, meaning they are going to be owner occupants of the property. Now, what qualifies for it to be an owner occupied property? So the qualifications are it has to be their primary residence for at least 12 months, and they have to certify also that they have not purchased a HUD home in the last 24 months. Can investors buy HUD homes? Absolutely, but they are going to have to wait after the extension period where only primary home buyers can actually make their bids. If nobody buys within that, say, 2-week period where it's going to be their primary residence, then investors can come in and start the bidding process. And in many times this does happen because a lot of times these properties are in rough condition, and a lot of people buying a home as a first-time home and they're gonna live in it themselves, a lot of times it's too much work for them and it really doesn't make sense for them to go through that process, which in turn opens it up to investors to come in, make the purchase for the properties. So how does HUD list their properties? Many times they're gonna order a BPO, broker's price opinion, or they're gonna get a certified appraiser out there to go ahead and give a valuation, fair market valuation of the property. As previously mentioned, a lot of times these HUD homes, they're in rough shape. So many times they're gonna go ahead and price the property below market. And in turn, a lot of times that's gonna generate a lot of action, a lot of activity on these properties because they are priced below market. Now, as a real estate broker here in Florida, I have dealt with many HUD homes over the years. And this is one thing per my research that I never knew about, but basically if you guys are a tenant in the property, say a property that is being foreclosed on that HUD's gonna take possession of, you potentially could have first right of refusal to purchase that home. So for some reason you guys are in this position and you guys find out that it might be a HUD home that is going to take possession of the property, be sure that you try to reach out to the real estate agent who's probably going to knock on your door, or the asset manager who possibly might knock on your door as well. In many cases, it's going to be a real estate agent. Explain that you guys are a tenant and that you guys understand that you potentially have first right of refusal to buy that property. And in many cases, the asset manager will allow you guys to have first right of refusal to buy the property at the asking price. Is HUD gonna do repairs once you guys are in contract after you get the inspection completed? In some cases, they're not gonna do anything. In other cases, in my experience, a lot of times they will work with you if you have to do certain things to get it up to par for financing. And many times HUD's gonna request everything to be in writing and in terms of your request, and also have the inspection report back up exactly what you're requesting so they have a full understanding the scope of work. And now be aware that sometimes HUD will ask that you guys pay for some or all of these repairs as well, and they might increase the purchase price because of this, but in any case, many times HUD is willing to work with you on this. Another common question that we get is, are you allowed to pre-occupy before closing, occupy the property, a HUD home? And I can tell you, they're not going to allow that. They're not going to allow anybody to access that property, live in the property, do any kind of renovations to property or repairs to the property until they have the final closing. Can you get 203K financing for a HUD home? If you guys don't know what 203K financing, it's essentially a renovation loan, and yes, HUD will allow for it. So basically, let's say you have a property that you're picking up for $200,000 and it needs an HVAC system and it needs a new roof. The 203K financing will actually bundle the entire loan together to actually include the cost of the renovation in one loan, and HUD will allow this in most cases. How fast do you have to close on a HUD property? Usually for cash offers, it's going to be 30 days. For financing, traditional financing, FHA financing, VA financing, usually about 45 days. And if it's a 203K financing, usually they're going to allow up to 60 days because that is a longer process because you have to get bids for the renovations of the property. Good Neighbor Next Door, I did another video on this as well, so you guys can check that video out. I'll put a link down below, but essentially certain trades, certain firefighters, law enforcement officers, emergency technicians, medical technicians, and teachers potentially could qualify to purchase a HUD home at 50% of the list price. I did a whole other video on this as well, so I'll put that at the end for you guys, and I'll put a description or a link in the description for you guys as well, so you can watch that in complete detail. And $100 HUD homes, that's right. You could potentially pick up a HUD home with only $100 down. And in many cases, if you actually request to have your closing costs paid for by the lender, essentially you're going to put them into the loan, you can get away with only $100 down, $100 in escrow, $100 completely out of pocket, and pick up one of these HUD homes that are qualified for you to purchase. And I did a whole other video on this as well, and I'll put a link for you guys in the description. I'll put that at the end screen as well, and you guys can check that out next. And I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I appreciate you guys watching this. If you got any value out of it, I appreciate a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks a lot for being here.